It still takes a conscious effort for me to eat enough food to not drop weight, and I've noticed that during group rides and draft legal races, I struggle to put out enough power during my time to pull when on the flats. But if there's a sustained hill, I easily find myself toward the front. Do you have any recommendations for people who are on the lighter end of the scale and wanting to put on more weight? Or is it just a case of making sure I'm fueled for the training and riding and bringing up my FTP to be able to pull when I need to? And he's kind of answered his own question if that was the case, but I don't think that his problem is being too light. Because at 3.8 watts per kilogram, while that is a high level of performance for many people, relatively speaking, I don't think that it would be close to his genetic potential.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, being his height and weight and having a 200, I have like a 310 watt threshold. He has a 248 watt threshold. There's a big difference there.
We don't know how old Ryan is, right?
Yeah, but I assume he's somewhat middle-aged to younger. So, but looking at that, there's definitely some room. It's probably not the fact that you're too light. There's probably plenty you could do. And if you're snacking on a biscuit jar, in my mind, that sounds like, that's not really a focus on high quality food.
Yeah, you could increase your performance probably just by, instead of so biscuit jar means cookies for us Americans. They're going to be higher in fat. Switching to, I bet, more carbs, increase your volume. You might be able to raise your FTP. Whenever someone's like, I struggle to put on weight, and they're not like 18, it's like, I don't care. Like, next question. All you gotta do is eat more.
Nate resents that.
But I mean, that's if you want to put on weight, like, who cares about like the composition? You just physically eat more. And if you can't do that, just eat regular French fries instead of air fried French fries. Or there's if you just want to put on weight, there's lots of ways you can do that. But do it healthily.
Sure, you're talking about usable mass.
Exactly. So if you want to, eat more.
Increase your protein intake. Time your protein.
Yep.
Post-workout typically.
And then probably lift some weights.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And when we're saying eat more, we mean eat well. Not just eat more of whatever you're currently eating. If you really want to see a big improvement, a varied diet. One thing that's really helped me is the Endurance Diet, that book by Matt Fitzgerald. He talks about how to bring in a whole variety of different foods and how to eat a varied diet and make sure it's highly nutritious, but also get the sort of carbohydrate density that you need as an endurance athlete to be able to carry on, and the protein and everything else.
And as endurance athletes, I mean, we're so frequently undernourished or malnourished. And it may not even be an intentional thing. We just don't realize how much work we're doing relative to how much food we're taking in over the course of a day. So we can see dietary deficiencies in so many different manners. I mean, you could be short on certain micronutrients, certain, the quality of your macros may not be up to snuff. You may not be timing it well. You may not be fueling well enough during your workouts, which is easy to lose sight of. You get done and you're completely thrashed because you didn't eat enough on the bike. I mean, I was guilty of that for I don't know how many years.
Another thing I want to say is that for Ryan, he said he struggles to pull like hard enough on the group rides in the front. That might be in your head, and you might be pulling too hard. Jose, who you've seen Jose like on our race series, he's the local sprinter.
And those are on YouTube. You can look up the race analysis series we do.
He's a small dude, like 5'5".
He's got to be like 5'5". Yeah.
And his FTP is only like 220, but he sprints like a maniac and he's super aero.
And he can still pull pretty darn well on the flats.
There is a race video of him leading me out. I did a very poor job, but finishing it. But when he led me out, he's not doing that many watts. And I'm doing like 300 behind him. And he's got to be doing like 250 or less. I think I'm doing more than that.
You don't have to be a big, brawny roller type to go fast on the flats. And you look at like Nero Quintana used to get tailed off all the time. Now he hangs in there just fine. Vincenzo Nibali can ride dang near anybody off his wheel if he wants to.
Look at Barguil. Barguil is a guy that's always like, and he's probably changing as we speak, right? But like, and he's the French national champion now. So, but when you looked at when he first was kind of coming in and blowing up, or that's a bad way to say it, but basically coming in and becoming the rider that he was known for, super fast on the climbs, but if it got anywhere remotely close to flat, he was off. And we've seen that with a lot of riders.
It's just another case where you need to avoid pigeonholing yourself simply based on your somatotype, your body type.
Just 100%.
Don't over pull on the front and just try to get aero.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to need to do at at 5'11",
Sure.
143 pounds.
And there's a thing to bring in too on the psychological effect, and also there is somewhat of a physical one too that we're talking about. When you're on a grade and it's forcing you to constantly be putting out force like that, it's easier to hit your power targets.
Yes.
When it's flat, it's tougher for people. Psychologically, it's tougher because they're not being forced to do it, so they have to proactively do the work to stay there. But then also it's tougher on the muscles to do something slightly different. Because when you say that you're on a climb, Ryan, when you're fine on climbs, 3.8 watts per kilogram isn't something that's outrageous in terms of power to weight ratio on a climb. But so I would say that there's probably an experience component to this too.
Absolutely. Doling out sustained power on a flat road, there is a learning curve there. You have to learn how to sustain that power steadily. It's not as easy as on an incline.
Absolutely.
Have you guys ever overpulled in a group ride or seen someone else overpull?
Of course.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
Right?
And you think you get up there and you're like, I need to do my work. I need to contribute. And you're like killing yourself. And you're like, I'm just not a good flat person. But what you really just did is you killed yourself.
You shell yourself.
You did VO2 max for a minute and you're dying.
Everybody else is pulling it, threshold or maybe just slightly above, and you're pulling it like 130%.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you're wondering how everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Well, they're just,
they're not pulling as hard.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's hard, the little speed difference that you might have of 1 or 2 miles per hour, you don't feel it. And
Right.
as the road too is often undulating, it's hard to even know keep the speed constant, right? Because it goes up 1% and you're like, I got to keep the same speed.
No, that's true. Because on a flat road, you can just use miles per hour. Just look at your speedometer and when I pull through, I just need to hold this 26 miles per hour that we're going. But when the road changes at all, that speed becomes not useless, but not nearly as informative as it was on a flat road.
And who has completely, unless you're in Florida, who has completely flat roads all the time?
With no wind. As
well.
well,
Yeah, and wind
once
too.
wind comes in,
Yeah. And
that's why it's so one thing that Chad said very early on when I met Chad was data should always inform perception, and it's and I always think of that, and I think that's a relative strength that I have, that I know exactly what a specific wattage feels like at that day. Now it may change if my fitness changes, right? But I know what that feels like, and I pay attention to the feeling. And that's really when I'm pulling at the front of a group, I'm paying attention to the feeling. And I'm not paying
experience
attention
aside,
to
know what's going to blow you up and what you can keep doing for a long time.
Okay, on the opposite of this, how often are you guys in a group ride and you're like, man, I just wish that guy up there would pull harder?
Oh, yeah.
I've never had that.
Very rarely.
Never
Unless
once.
I'm in
Ever.
When someone takes a soft pull, it's a bit of a respite. You're just
you're like,
count your
"Oh, thank
blessings,
God."
right?
Yeah, exactly. You're never upset. A race, breakaway, that's all different. But just a group ride and someone's not jamming it like some other high-level athlete, nobody cares.
No, it's
nobody
pleasant,
cares.
right? Yeah. So in this case, Ryan, I think that you have room to grow in terms of your power. And I would focus on raising your power, not on gaining weight. And the way that you focus on raising the power is really hitting your marks through training consistency and then fueling those workouts. And then stepping back from that on the experience side of things, it's okay, and understand the fact that this is normal for being able to put out power on the flats and understanding how to dole out your efforts effectively and in a measured way. That all takes time. So if you do think that you need to just gain weight and that's the thing that's missing, maybe not. If you like this video, you should subscribe to our channel. Maybe even give this video a like with a thumbs up and a comment down below.
If you want to see race analysis videos, you can click on it right over here. And if you want to get your coaching questions answered, you can click on it right over here.
And if you want to become a faster cyclist, which you should go over to TrainerRoad.com. It'll make you faster. We promise. We guarantee it, right, Nate?
Guaranteed. Or your money back.
Yes, it's true, actually. We really will do that.
Yeah.